Hello everybody, I hope you're doing good. In this little video, I'm going to be showing you how to line and colour the skull. And the skull we're taking this from is from the tutorial which was just created over on YouTube. So basically the first skull we did, I've taken it off, I light boxed it, so now it's ready on this piece of paper, and I'm going to show you just the process of how to line it in a really effective and really bold way, so it has a lot more flow when you start lining your image. And also I'll take you through the steps of how to colour it. So if you haven't watched the tutorial, I actually suggest you go to the YouTube channel, you check that out just to learn how to draw the skulls. But if you'd rather just skip to the colouring part as you have a good art foundation, you're in the right place pretty much. So here, the pens I'm using, this is a 0.3 fine liner. And what I'm looking to do as I go around is first just to line a few of the areas I want to keep in this picture. There's now a key point which I'm going to tell you, like it's like a secret thing that really makes your images look super bold and give everything just a way more movement. And this is called the double line. And the double line is basically this. If I'm just lining this here, keeping it loose, just putting lines throughout the design, this is the power of the double line. Okay. Let me just get that bit. Right, now it's in place. Now from here I'm using the 0.3. What I don't want to be doing is in a thick marker at the beginning. This is not the process I use. All I like to do is use the thin line first, and at the edges I'm flicking off so everything ends at a point. And here we use the double line. So with the 0.3 you keep the same thicknesses, but your aim goal is to line up and flick off at the same point, like so. And now here we're double lining again because it's sort of on the outside shape, and then we're filling it in. Also, if you're a tattooist, as a side note, you'd realise that when you line with a round, you can get blown out edges at times. If you want super crisp designs, even though it does take longer, I'm not gonna lie, it takes a bit more time, double line with like a 5-liner and then fill it in with the round. If you try this out, you realise that how much cleaner your designs look at the end. But it does come at the price of time, because a lot of people will grab the thick marker first, like we've got the smaller toe here with a big nib, but that can come in later, or you can use it to fill in the gaps, to colour into the line. And what this line fixes does is it gives the whole thing loads more movement, A, and B, when you start putting these smaller lines in, there's a contrast of line thicknesses. So you get the emphasis of more detail. Look, a thin line here, and then you're gonna put a thin line here. And especially if you like to shade with your cross hatching, this is a very effective technique. And now you get to see it. You see how it's happening? This is just the first eye. And again, make sure you guys can see. And double line. See how it ends up small here? And then as it's coming in, it's getting thicker. And you can shoot a few lines off the side. And wow, you see it's all pulling together already. And if you would just rewind this to the very beginning where it was just a single line, which a lot of artists do, they just pick one line, or they just get a thick line, and then you realise they use a thick line, when they get to, let's take this shape for example, can you see how smooth that is? They end up with this. It's just got a blunt fat end, and it looks really cartoony, and it doesn't add any sort of real flow. So you want to avoid lines just being so singular. Start looking where they're thicking certain lines up and leave things skinny. A good key note is anything on the outside, like let's just take this example. There's going to be lines in the skull shape itself, but around the outside is going to be thick. So if I just double line again, like I put a super thick line around the outside here, and now we've got a third thickness. So let's just say that's a 5 thickness. This has become like an 8 thickness. And then when we carve back in, you see? Thin, super thin. Grab your marker for speed and then just fill in the black lines. Also, because this is also adding that extra percent of detail, because this is coming towards the audience. Say if you were to do this section here of the mouth super thick, but slowly get thinner as you go up, this will be the thing that sticks out to the audience. And especially with graffiti, this is a bit advanced. If you get to the top, you can even lose the line work and shade just the color off, and then you have this really wrapped around crazy dimension. That's more of a technique I could show you with the pens, but with spray paint it pulls off a lot more easily. It's just communicated crazy. And you might say to yourself, oh, that looks a bit bland. And then from there you can just look for these little hooks. Hook a little bit of a line through it. Boom. Can you see what it's doing? Add a little circle there. Another line there. You see how the smaller details, they have a lot more impressional impact now than next to thicker lines. Maybe just add some random little shapes, some cracks to the skull. The skull's not always perfect in its assembly. So we go again. If you feel a bit worried that you might ruin your image when it comes to line work, remember to keep loose and play. Always flick towards the end. And you follow that again. It's just a rinse and repeat process for every line you want to put in. Put that in place. Back that line up, fill in as you go. And this is just a continual process of lining pretty much anything, not just skulls. If you're lining another imagery, you just take the same process and keep building it. But definitely line thicknesses, if you are lining this strong and this bold and you want this kind of look, line thicknesses play a huge role, and a lot of artists don't realise how important it can be. Put some cracks in here. Let's say if you want to put some really skinny cracks, you can just lightly put details in, like that. Look at that. Like, you could initially do that throughout the whole of the nose and have all these small like cracks coming up. Here, let's do it again to emphasize the shape, because this feels right. Maybe put a few little shapes around for the top of the nose. Once again, just let the pen go on and off the page, super thin. But if the whole image was this thin lined, that wouldn't have any difference. It would just get lost in translation of what we're trying to say with this image. That's why it pays to have the thicker lines, because they are balancing out with really thin detailed lines. It's almost like when you do a painting, if you can have a real dark colour next to a light colour, example, thick lines next to thin lines, you have more contrast. And more contrast is always so much more appealing than just having one line and it remains flat. Especially when you start learning the shading techniques on top of the line work, you can start pulling off some dangerous techniques, and your artwork will just excel completely. Always be thinking as well. Here's another, always be thinking. Like, this is closer to the audience, right? Like, so figure out your lines can be a cheap way to bend that. So let's just pick this point here because it's going to be close to the audience and it's coming in, right? So we're sneaking it in, sneaky. But then as we pull it out towards the audience, gradual thickness. Can you see that's got gradual, so subtle, it's so under the radar, it hurts. And now let's say it's going back now away from the audience. So then what do? Away, we just thin that line up again to get to the point. We can let it lose itself. And again and again. And these little subtleties, when added together throughout the image, hold so much power. By themselves, they don't do much. But when you start adding all the other elements and then use the color to put on top, you can really make, it's one of those things that people look at and they don't understand how it's, wow, it looks amazing, but how? And it's like, you know what you've been doing with those small combinations of line thicknesses. And now if you doubled that up, let's say it was graffiti right now, and then you decide to put a key line on the thick area to bring out even more, it's the illusion of massive bent perspective. And once you get that down, you'd see a massive change, absolutely huge change in your artwork in its entirety. So yeah, really start digging in deep, chiseling away, adding the different line thicknesses. Let me skip a little bit ahead. Maybe jump to jump to a way you can sort of put a few shade lines in, because now you've got more of a safer bet to put shading in without looking too out of place. So, like, let's just say around here, if you want to shade this way, put the little shade line in with your thinnest lines, and then you can just use that like to shade. And you see, it doesn't look too lost when you do it this way. You can do the whole image shaded like this. And if you're a terrorist, that you know where this comes from when you're doing the shading, and you're going to lay it over a colour. So you could, yeah, that's what you can do as well. Just now the line thicknesses can go in. Bam, 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 bam. And that's just a rinse and repeat. So knowing this, I'm just going to speed up this process, and you'll see as I'm doing it what I'm basically doing. I've kind of just told you all anyway. I had a few small circles, and here's another thing really. I had a few little lines just around the eye, just to give it more like folds, and it's got more texture. Like maybe around here some more lines. It's looking too smooth for a skull. Definitely put that in. You know right now we wouldn't leave this like this, right? I hope you know from what I'm telling you. What happens here? We double line it. So double line and look at the change. Just take in the change and you see. Super clean. And the reason you want a double line, not just running with this, is this will bleed. What that means is when you do a line, each side it's wet, so it expands a tiny bit. When you have a super tight nib, basically it's got less room to bleed. So once again, you can just tuck it right in there and keep it super tidy. The only hard part with using a real thin point is you need good control of the pen, because every wobble is now shown. Like already, if I put this line next to this line, you can see it's sharper. It's way sharper. Instead of this, it's a bit more blurred out, more pixelated. So yeah, I'm now just gonna go around the whole design with everything I just told you, every single technique of the line work, and then we move on to just getting this bad boy coloured in a really simple and easy way. And once you've taken your time and you just really put in every last bit of detail you want to put in, you end up with a little bad boy like this. So if this is the style you were trying to achieve, this is the biggest secret to set yourself up to have a really, just to have something similar to this movement here. And once you've done, you want to grab your rubber and then get rid of all the lines. Make sure that ink has dried first. Give it 5 minutes, because that's a common mistake. You rub the hell out of it to begin with, and then you smudge your line work, and then you sort of have to redo it, and that's not a fun place to be. So what I'm going to do is grab some colours, and I'm going to show you guys how to colour this little fella in. Quick thing, we are colouring these with Copics today. Here, I'm just going to keep it simple. I only have 4, and these are warm greys. And in the Copic series, they are under the name W1, W3, W5 and W7. But the basic thing is, if you don't have Copics, is it's tonal. Dark to light, and only 4 different tones we're using. And the first thing I like to do is start off with the 2 lower ones. So get to these, and we're using the 1 and the 3. And some people will blast the whole thing over and then start working, which you can do. But let's just start it bit by bit. So for this side, I like to put the base down, and then I like to let that ink dry. can also alternatively, when you do these, you can put a pencil down color first, then line at the end. Some people prefer that way, but I like just to make sure everything's clinical as I'm moving, as I'm going across and doing my thing. The reason you want to let it dry as well, because if it's wet right now and I've hit this darker tone on, it will bleed out and you will get not a clean line, be really blown out and look really pixelated, and we want to just avoid that as much as we can. So I'm just going to put it over here for now, just putting down that base tone, number 1. You also want to make sure the pen is dry with the line work, because if it's still wet and you're rubbing this through, you get a lot of bleed from the black, and then you just bring black lines into your image, and that can be a real mess. So you want to be patient with it and give yourself time. Now from here, I know there's going to be a shade coming down from the cheekbone, so I'm going to put a line across like this, very loose still, and I'm not colouring down. I'm taking the lighter one, and I'm dragging it quickly before it dries. Doing so, you end up with this smooth transition. I like to put a few dots around as well. Obviously for the skull, it's got more cracks. And then you reapply the darker tone. And the thing that's so good with this is it's a slow build up. So let's say you want it more darker. By darker, you want to give it more definition. You just sit on it, let that dry, and you hit it again with a darker tone. So look, like for here now, I'm putting this darker line in, and I'm just bringing it up, bring some texture, and then I'm building up. So I'm putting the 3 down here, which is that mid-tone, and then using this light tone to drag it down. When you drag it, you get that such a subtle blend, and it just pops. If I'm really confident, if I'm telling you the honest truth, I'm so confident, like, okay, I know exactly where I want to be dark, I'll hit it now. But if you're not as confident, keep working with the 2 tones to begin with, 1 and 3, and build up from that stage. But from here, I'm like, okay, I want to put the dark tone in. And what I'm going to do is now bring it in a little bit, and now I use the 3 now. So I'm working down the ladder. 3, just to push that around a little bit, back to 1. 1's now pushing that ink, and then it's got more dimension, as you can see. Just like that. And same here, I'm confident that I want that to be darker, so I put it in place, grab the 3 again, see I'm going down the ladder, pushing that, and then if I really want to, grab the lightest tone and push again. And this way you can grab a darker tone and you can use that to sort of pull that colour across and just dab it around, add some cracks, add some more lines in, give it more texture. Like this. So let's just work on this nose part quickly. I'm just going to hit it with that light tone first. So you end up with this. Very light. The main goal for the light tone is that it's just something that can pull the darker tones around. And I also want to show you a nice little hack to make your stuff look super, super cool, especially if you be using Copics. So I'm just going to let that dry quickly. So I'll just colour in the eye for now. So I'm going to bring a little bit in the eye. And now let's take number 3. So the same principle we did over here. Let's have a curve on the nose. So here I put it in, and now I'm just colouring down. See how there's no blend, but you got the light one, and then you push it lightly, but evenly as well. Bum, 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 bum. I'm hitting each angle, down, 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 and I'm going to continue in it. Bring it down until it blends, such a smooth blend like that. That's what you want. And you can even use the white of the paper if you really wanted to. And that'd be absolutely fine. Now you might say to yourself, oh, you know, it's not enough depth there, and that's entirely up to you and your preference. So you just, you can do two things here. You can then go over again with the 3 because you've done it once, but if you did it again, it'll come out darker naturally, like that. Or you can just be confident in it and pick the number 3 up and then do the same again. like this, and then hit it with a 3, pull that dark tone down, very tight, and then 1 again, and bring it down again. It takes time, but you get the smoothest shades you want. Then you're probably saying, well, what if you don't want to have the smoothness? What if I want something a bit more rugged and a bit more texturized? For that, here are two of your favorite tools you want to be doing is a black fiber pastel and a white fiber pastel. I'm just going to quickly sharpen up this white one. Or if you're working on tonal paper, another good option is to use the charcoal white, which is a lot more stronger than the pastel pen. But if you want texture, let's just say around this bridge, let's just hit it with the 1. Beautiful, beautiful. Just put the pen lids on so they don't dry out. That's a common mistake, I don't want to show you this. You can use the black now to start edging some lines in. So it's not a pen. You can lightly hit it up, shade areas, and even, let's say this bridge, you can shade from it over the ink. You start to see that build up. Take your time with this. Put a few lines in. Go on, just put some cracks in, like that. Cracks straight over, edge that off. You want some cracks come from here, put some more lines in, very lightly. And the same with the white. You want to start whitening things up, go over the lighter tones, put that in place. Even go over the darker tones and put some like triangles in. Some small little indentations. Don't know if you guys can see that on the camera. And keep building up like that. That's super texturized. And I leave a lot of people wondering how have you done that when it's with markers. And let's try here. I want to darken this up but fade off. And it is just that. Slow shades building up over the ink. Look at that. It's almost looking completely surreal on that part. Super dope. And really cool. If you do the skull in blue, these pastels can come out again. And it's such a little treat. It's such a little hack. I want to depth this out. I didn't even use the dark pen, but boom, I'm putting that in. And let's just put some cracks in around the eye. You see that transformation? Look at it now and look at the end as it comes together. This is really fine details as I creep in with the darker pencils. And that's looking dope, man. That's looking so heavy. And the process of that is the same. Let's just go back to the nose quickly. Like here I've got the 5 and a 3. So the 5 goes down, it's a lot darker. And the 3, I just loosely pull that around here. Boom, boom, boom. Really loose. Bringing it to the front again. Just like so. And again, like here. Now I'll go over again and build it up. In the shadow, that would be in the shadow. And then use that to put some smaller lines in. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And that is the principle of colouring, to be honest with you. Hit it up again. Because I'm confident with my designs. I know for a fact I'm coming in from like this angle, just for the beginning shapes. I can just cover that whole area in the dark tone. And if you think, oh, I've gone a little bit too dark, you've got that white fiber pastel or that white charcoal pen. That could be your secret weapon to bring things lighter. That's real loose for now. But once again, look at this. Okay, this is like gonna be like game changer if you can figure this out. I follow this line a little bit, okay, like that, and then I let the pencil go. There you go. There's no boom. Let it go. Let it do its thing. It's like a dog on a leash. You let it go, and you know it's gonna defend itself. Boom, 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 right across the skull. Like, where's that line going? It's a skull. Be really free. There's no right or wrong. And what about these triangle shapes here? You can start building up. Can you see what's starting to happen now? That's something I haven't told anyone how to do. Just let the pencil run its own course. And And then you can get this little white and see this area here. You just pick off that edge. Boom. Give it more three-dimensional shape by just shading it a little bit. Look at this. Like pebbles. It's just... Oh. If you can figure that out, it will level your game up massively. And again. I'll just show you a few more things, and then I'll probably time-lapse it because it's a repeat process, and I'm sure you probably get bored of just seeing it get in again and again and again. 3 goes in, push with the white, that's got the base tone in. If I wanted to now, let's say, oh, I want to hit it again darker, just like that, we hit with the 5, and we just repeat the process. 3, boom, it's just, boom, straight over the pencil we put down. It's okay. It just holds there, and there we go. And if you're really feeling confident in yourself, you can do things like this, boxing off the top, and leaving that white as a light point. If you have the charcoal pencil, you can easily hit over certain areas and whiten back up. If you have a clean white pencil, that is. But if you are confident and you know where the white's going, just box it off. But that's boxed off there. I know I want some white hitting here, so I like boxing it off rough and just give it a shade around now. And if you want details or your watercolor, you have the watercolor coming over, you can buy special tape or special glue that you can glue on, so you can just wash the whole color over, and then at the end you can rub off that glue, and then you're left with the white. Just gonna block the whole head in here. And another little trick is you want to look for bigger shapes. So here in the bigger area, we're working on some small bits here, but look for the bigger shapes before you start putting the details in. So look at that, it's such a big movement, but in this movement we can then start working smaller and smaller and smaller shapes. And leave a little backlight off the back of the head, so it's not touching the back fully there. Another little tip, and I'll do the same here. That's just a cool way to make it look like you know what's going on with a three-dimensional shape. Giving it a backlight. Push that forward a tiny bit. Looking good, looking good. I hope you guys are understanding the principles. Obviously, if you have different colors, you go ahead and you can do some blues, pinks, purples. That's entirely up to you. And what you start seeing now is this thickness here starts losing itself, so I'm going to thicken up a tiny bit, just here. Pow. How you like me now, okay. So I'm just going to keep hitting it again and again, and I'll stop the camera if there's a point where I'm going to tell you about something. I will show you in a second how to add a little bit of colour just to set things off, and that's really simple. In fact, let me show you now actually. So here I've got a pink colour, it's just a random pink. And like where the light tones are, where I've blended down, so I've blended here's light, there's a few light areas here, you see on the front here, just hit it with that, and also your number 1, and pull that pink across. So here's a pink light here, it's in the light tone, let's put some here. You see how much like flavour that gives an image? And then you just pull that up, and if you're a tattooist again, you know you can do this when you tattoo. Just gives that much more flavour. If I'm spray painting as well, I'd bring some more pinks and some dark purples, and I'll just layer it up and up. And it's a little hack to make things look super fresh, and unlike any other medium. So around the nose, I like to put a bit of pink, like a little bit here. Just brush it with the one again. So just brush back down again, keep reworking it. A bit more here. Look at that, let it really loose. You see how it's happening? And pull that down. Much more textured. I feel like there's a pink around here even, on that lower light. And maybe then it's gonna come across here, maybe, put one here, yeah. And I'm pulling that again, getting the one out and pulling that around. Take no prisoners, and now I get a good point. Okay, I'm gonna put like a little bit of pink here, and I'll put some pink here. Word on your mama. And there we go. Now that's got a lot more flavour, And if I was really cheeky and want to just give you all the game again, but I've given you so much. Backlight, color that in. Pow, you see? Damn, bro. And with a backlight, get the darker tone, which was the 5, and now just put a silent line next to the backlight, like this. Oh, it hurts, man. I wish someone told me this back in the day. Straight tip. Just that. Maybe just put it on a little bit with the lighter tone. Woo-wee. Not too much, just lose that line a tiny bit. But you really gotta lose to it, and there you go. Super, super strong illustration effects. I'm now going to go over it with the darker tones, fix some things up with the Faber-Castell pencils, these two here, and then we'll see what the final result starts to look like. Now that we're done with that design, I'm just going to hit it with some cold blue to complement the pink in the background. Like this. The cool thing is, if say you're working on a whole flash of designs, this is a cool way just to sort of add a little bit of color, add a bit of uniqueness to the skull, without doing too much work or going OTT. You can go through the skull again and again, by the way. Like I could be on here for like another hour, putting all the darker tones in, working that pencil. And it's just up to you when you decide, okay, that's enough, I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, but you know yourself when you finished a piece of art, when you feel good about it. And yeah, I can't believe I've just given you all my secrets in a short video. And that's it, everybody. I really hope you understood this tutorial and it helped you loads. If there's anything you feel I missed out or would like to know more about, or just dive deeper in your progression, please leave me a comment on this video. I will see the video, and I can also make a few other ones in the future and import more information that you find desirable to help you improve your artwork. So a massive thank you to everybody, and I appreciate you all. Till next time, peace.